The market is actually quite hungry for something new.
Yeah.
Especially Indonesia is a very young country.
Hey guys, this is Florent. How are you doing? I'm today with Koriun. We are going to do our first podcast today, our series of entrepreneurs and people, expat living in Indonesia. And Koriun, you're from Armenia, and you came to Indonesia in 2007.
Seven.
Yeah. So it's like 16 years that you're in Indonesia. So I'm very happy and excited to have you today. Because you have I think, experience by living here, and you can also tell you how you saw Indonesia moving the last 16 years, and how is it to make a business in Indonesia, and how is it to easy to create value also for in this country, and what is your perspective for the future. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah, maybe you can tell us a bit about your story. You're living in Jakarta, but you're also in Bali. So it's very interesting to have you today, because you also have the two vision. Most of people sometimes know only Jakarta or only Bali, and you have been, I think, exploring all the country, because you're also in the mining industry.
Correct. So my story is back in 2007, and before that, I have been studying in Moscow State University, and I was studying Indonesian language and economy. So, like, my master is the trade relationship between Indonesia and South and Asia Pacific countries. So in 2007 and 8, I used to study in Bali, in Polytechnic Negeri Bali. And that was a 1 year, like one of the best years of my life. I was here just being a student and like learning about Indonesia and just learning language and other things. Then I was back and forth from 2008 to 2012, and from 2012 I'm based in Jakarta. So I had an experience living in Bali and also coming here quite often, and mostly the wider experiences in Jakarta, of course, where the main like big businesses are happening. Like, it's a huge megapolis now. It's quite beautiful, with some of like minuses like pollution and traffic.
Yeah,
but like, if you know, you know, like
Yeah,
you
but
can
what is good in sorry to interrupt, but you were in Bali in 2008.
the 7 8,
So
yeah.
let's split a bit. So how did you see Bali moving? Because 2008, it's like 15 years now.
Yeah.
So most of people, or a lot of people, know Bali now from the last few years, also with a lot of influencer coming. But how did you end up? So you said by study. Did you know Bali, or you just point on a card?
Oh, that's actually very interesting story. So back when I was like 16, 17 years old, I had a company back in Russia, in Moscow, with my partner in Nakhodka. It's east of Russia, and his brother was in Japan. So we were importing Japanese cars, spare parts, like some tuning parts for the cars. It was like the boom of the Fast and Furious. Everybody were like, wow, this is going crazy. So actually, I wanted to study Japanese. So, and because I knew already so much about Japan, and I was really interested about Japan. And when I already passed the exams, I came to the university, and I was like, I already signed for the Japanese language, and I came. They were like, sorry, Koriun, the Japanese group is full. I was like, okay, like, and like in my mind, it's 2004, and like what I'm gonna do? Like, everything is now different. And they're like, oh, you can choose another language. I was like, okay, give me Chinese, because it's like booming. Everybody want to know Chinese. So they were like, no, full. I was like, okay, give me Arabic. Look at me, like I can be some Habibi, right? Like, and they're like, full. I was like, okay, what do you have? They were like, we have Hebrew, Khmer, Vietnamese, and Indonesian. Choose from these four. I was like, Hebrew, no. Like, Vietnamese, and it's 2004,
Yeah.
and I'm like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah,
I'm
and it
trying to
was
figure out what are these countries from
yeah,
my like
yeah, and it's not the most common language that's at the time
absolutely.
we're talking around the world. Yeah.
And then like Vietnamese, I just remember some Hollywood movies about the Vietnam War or something, and I'm like, nah. And then Khmer, I was like, what is the
What is it?
Khmer? And
Yeah.
I just remember a little bit from like 10 years of history studies at school about the Red Khmers, these movements and
Yeah.
so on. And I was like, no.
It's not so
But,
friendly at the time.
no, I
Yeah.
was like, no. And then the only thing, the language was left was Indonesian. And I remembered seeing National Geographical series about Indonesia, also about Bali. And I was like, okay, probably. Because at that time, I was thinking what kind of business I can do with that country. Because with Japan, it was clear. I already had a thing going. But for Indonesia, I was like, okay, probably I can do some tourism,
Yeah.
some tourist business, something like that. And that's how I end up in my Indonesian language. And that's how actually my wife, so we together like study Indonesian.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how.
And so you end up in Bali
And
or in Jakarta.
and so after 3 years of study, so we already could speak Bahasa. We came to Bali. The first 1 year we spent here, and then we had to go back to finish our studies, the bachelor, master degree, and after that. We got a proposal in 2012 from an oil and gas service company in Jakarta to join them, and they needed more like people who could speak Bahasa and were like familiar with Indonesia. So that was the changing point of our lives. We moved from Moscow to Jakarta, and since then we are here.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on this, what is interesting for me, and I think for people, is like how do you see the changes in both city, and how did you see Indonesia moving, and what is your vision on how the country is evolving? You know, because 2008, I remember I came here in 2005, and if I look Bali and Jakarta now, it's totally different. I mean, we can start with Bali in 2008. There was not this such development here. I mean, where we are doing now the podcast, it was surrounded by rice field at the time, and this place was not even developed. Seminyak and Umalas was the end of the
Civilization.
yeah, like what we call civilization. Yeah, like you say, yeah. When people were saying, "Oh, you're in Umalas, it's too far,"
Yeah.
and now people are in Pererenan, you know. So how is your vision on this, and how did you see things moving?
So when we came, I couldn't say that it was like virgin, but like many places, like we go now, we stay for example, Canggu, and more further is like it was rice fields. So the only place like we could go and like something was different, it was in Seminyak. I don't know if you remember, there was a place called Living Room.
Yeah.
So that was like something different from the like bounty or embargo. These were like not really like places, and that time for us Seminyak was the end. There was no we like in our mind there was no life after Seminyak. Everything stopped. Like it's like Jimbaran and you Kuta and you come to Seminyak and done. And it was like it was developing that time. It was the boom of just starting the Russian markets. Bali was introduced to the Russians also that time, I remember. And when we were here, I witnessed how the tourism was slowly going. And I remember that time that when the Russian market started actively coming here, they were number one for spendings. So by volume of the tourists, it was like China and Australia probably, but for
Spending
the
per
spending,
person,
Russians,
Russian,
because they at that time there were not like backpackers.
I
And,
think it's very interesting for people also who are listening now. It's when you develop a business in a general way, sometimes we are thinking, and this is also the government what they are trying to do, because they are introduced, for example, beginning of this month, of December, there is new flight coming from India.
Hmm.
So there will be direct flight. This is the first. Before you had to go through Jakarta or through Kuala Lumpur
Oh.
if you wanted to come from India to here. But in terms of entry, Australia, okay, is the number one, and India is the number two for Bali. Well, if we take all Indonesia, it's Malaysia because it's very close. But it's important when you have your customer is to know also who is spending the money, because even if Indian is number two in terms of entry,
Hmm.
their vacation, they have maybe 2, 3, or 4 days vacation in the year. It's not like. And last time we were talking with a client that is Indian. He was saying, yeah, if you take vacation, it's not very well seen by the employer. But when you're Australian or when you're Russian, the length of stay is higher. So even if you have less, the spending power is higher. So like you say, Russian market is also interesting because it's people who also stay here but also spend the money, because
Yeah.
you can have 1,000 people from another market that's in terms of entry are coming, but if they stay only 3 or 4 days and they spend only $50, and when the other one that stay are less, but they spend 3 or 4 times. So it's very interesting point, I think, when you do business, is also to always think my customer, is it the number of people coming? It's like we have today in Indonesia, in Bali, especially in Bali, I don't know, we have a lot of digital nomads.
Hmm.
And if you go to some cafe, sometimes they say, no working here, because people come here, you have maybe 10 digital nomads coming to the cafe and they just take one cappuccino for the whole day, while you have maybe other people coming, they stay just 30 minutes for a meal altogether, and we spend more money. So it's always
Yeah.
interesting. So it's a very good point. I wanted to talk about that because it's also we're talking about business, and very interesting point.
Yeah, the quality of the people coming is just like different social levels. Let's say at that time, in 2007-8, when the Russians were coming, they were flying with charter private jets and so on. They're like people could afford it, and they were like different spendings. And now is mostly people like who relocate, and they are trying to find bright spot under the sun and do things, especially with the situation which in geopolitical scene are happening. But like it's quite different, but still the market is quite big and people coming, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
So Bali is going and will be going for sure. Like
Yeah, this is a what interesting point you're saying, is that I think what's the difference is people are staying longer here. I think what you did in 2008, I think you were one of the first, I mean, or the other people also were coming in the 80s and 90s, but it was people were coming here because they were coming for work, or because they study, or because they were working for a company in Jakarta.
yeah.
And what was the, I think the purpose of my question is, how did you see Bali changing? And for me, what I saw, how I saw Bali changing, is that before you wanted to work, you had to go to Jakarta, you had to find a job there, and you or to create a business there. And Bali, I think, become more also a place of business. For example, today we are registering our podcast in Bali.
Mhm.
In 2008, you wanted to find a studio to make business. You couldn't even find one. I was not even sure you could find one in Jakarta. And so the quality also, I think, of the place has changed, and has attracted a lot of different business owners, different entrepreneurs. And for people who are listening also to us, is good to understand that infrastructure is also evolving, is
Very
also
much.
changing, and that if you want to develop something, now it's possible. There is possibility, and like you said, you have also people staying longer. Like you said, with the geopolitical situation, a lot of people came from Russia or Ukraine or also other countries in Europe to stay here to develop. And so this is also, if you don't know the Indonesian market, maybe you know the Russian market, or maybe you know how your market, Singaporean or whatever, works. And because these people stay here, this is also a market that now you can develop your business in. And this is, I think, the biggest characteristic of Bali now since 2008 is how first how we develop, and second is the kind of people also living here are different. We came from a short time period before, yeah, like you say, Seminyak, there was nothing. It was only villas, but now people live here and
Yes.
make business here. And regarding Jakarta, you were saying it's very nice, it's very clean. I love Jakarta now.
Not that clean.
Yeah, not that clean, but if you go to, yeah, depends where you go. But I remember 2008 Jakarta. There was one street, Jalan Jaksar. It was the
Sudirman.
yeah, it was the only place you could go, and it was backpackers, or if you wanted to find expat, it was community. It was very very difficult, but Jakarta is great now. I think south of Jakarta, we have an office in Jakarta too, and the south of Jakarta is like Singapore.
Yes, like if we take SCBD,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like Singapore.
SCBD is like the to for people who don't know Indonesia, Jakarta is in the south of Jakarta,
It is
correct?
in the south of Jakarta. It's a very Singapore look-like area.
Okay.
You have a lot of business offices there. The streets are proper, clean, everything well taken care. You can find any kind of restaurants, bars there. Like there are like Asian top bars also at that area. Our office is also there, so we spend a lot of time in the Shebede. For example, like technically in Jakarta there are several centers. Like we call it like Golden Triangle.
Okay.
So there is Shebede, there is Tamrin, and there is also Kuningan. Yeah, so like these areas are mostly business areas where the mostly all the offices are concentrated. And going back in 2007-8, when we visited Jakarta, because we before coming to Bali we were 1 week in Jakarta, and I saw Jakarta in that time, and it was like, for me, there were no like skyscrapers back in Moscow at that time. When I came, I was like, "Whoa, this is like," and I was just imagining if I came the first time now, Jakarta would be like a mind blowing city. So like it's so actually good, and the business. In Jakarta, it's very easy to networking, to find people, to meet people, or very open, easygoing. Well, that's what I like. It's like even if we are talking about the government official level people, it's not a problem to arrange a meeting and to meet
Yeah.
them and have your things ongoing. So that's one of the reasons why we also prefer to stay longer in Indonesia and continue with some projects and some other companies. It's just we
So
saw a future.
So I think this is a good point. What you said is, okay, there is Bali in Indonesia, but Jakarta is the capital of Indonesia. But it's the capital in terms of economy. It's the capital of politics as well,
Yes.
and logistic
Yes.
at the same time. And I think for people who also listen, sometimes you have even people think Bali is a country. Sometimes I hear, oh, I prefer Thailand than Bali. Yeah, Thailand is a country. Bali, for example, is just an island, or the
Small
beach of
part.
Indonesia is large, is very big, and it's if you take compare with our countries, it's 5,500 kilometers from west to east, which is from London to Tehran in terms
Yeah.
of distance. But Jakarta is something very interesting for me. Like you said, it's like Singapore, and it's the market is big there. So I remember a few days ago, I think I was talking with one restaurant chef, I mean a business owner here, and he opened also a restaurant. Or for example, you have another business here, very famous, that a bakery or whatever. He has also one in Jakarta, and he's selling more in Jakarta that he's selling in Bali. So I think it's sometimes when people are looking where to start a business or where to create, you have 30 million customer in Jakarta. And Jakarta is a very, very great place for people who wants to develop and wants also to try a market to, yeah, to try there. The community of expat, like you said, is huge. I've been I mean, some events and also some bars and restaurants, and there is a very good community, I think, there also where people can network and develop. And like you said, you're close to the government, so if you want to um, expand your business, I think you're in the so we can say you're also in the mining industry,
Currently, yes.
and if we want to help and to develop the business in terms of mining, you need to be close also
Yes.
to the institution. So when you create a business, Jakarta is one of the places, I think, to not forget in Indonesia, because this is where you can expand after to the rest of Indonesia.
Yeah, like summarizing, we can say if you want to have a small business in Bali, you Bali. If you want to expand nation wise,
Yeah.
like wide, then you should go to Jakarta.
Yeah.
I mean, like I saw in my lifetime here, many businesses were like, ah no, we're gonna just stay in Bali and sometimes fly to Jakarta and like do these things, and they are like, none of them actually succeeded. There was only one company they opened in Jakarta also, but still the owner preferred to be in Bali, so of course
Yeah.
it is not happening. And from other cases, for example, another successful case which I saw, there is a bakery in Bali which started in Bali called Monsieur Spoon.
Yeah, but it's the one I was talking. Yeah. I didn't
No,
want to say the name to don't make any
no, I mean like
advertise, but we can say.
no,
Mrs.
no.
Spoon,
This
yeah.
is like
Yeah,
I know them.
exactly.
They are
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
Armenians also.
Yeah.
Like and
Yeah.
like when I saw that Monsieur Spoon was open in Jakarta, I was like, wow! And it's different concept.
Yeah.
It's more luxury style, and I was like so happy for them. I'm like, this is a breakthrough. So you do the
And
business in Bali.
it's full in Jakarta.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
queues. Like they have like some, I don't know. They also a couple of weeks ago they did something viral on TikTok, and they had just like lines of people standing for, I don't know, some like croissant or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. And I was like, okay, so
But this is also an interesting point for what you say. Uh, is the social media in Indonesia is very, very important and very viral. So
Yeah.
when you develop a business, TikTok, Instagram,
Yes.
all these things are much more important than on the Western world. It's influencer here are very, very important.
If
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, Indonesians are the biggest Facebook users.
Yeah, it's a big
If I'm
consumer.
not, yeah,
Yeah.
the biggest amount of Facebook users are from Indonesia actually.
Yeah. But you go to restaurants, it's easy. You see people scrolling all the time
Oh, yeah.
on their phone. Yeah. So, or even in if you go to like the MRT in
Yeah.
because Jakarta. Let's go back to Jakarta because we have a misconception sometimes, and even me, I always discover Jakarta more and more. You have the MRT now, and the traffic is not like what we heard by the past. You could spend hours. I remember 2008
Yes.
for me or five. You could spend 5 hours. I remember I had flight at 9 p.m. and people were saying to me, "You have to leave at 12 because if you don't want to miss your flight."
Yes.
But now you have the
now
toll. Now you have the MRT. You can even go directly from the airport. I experimented last time from the airport directly to the city center with the train and avoid all the traffic. So in terms of logistic, in terms of infrastructure, I think, and also living, Jakarta is becoming better and better, and the school also, because I think you have kids. You have
Yes,
very,
yes. There are many international
Yeah.
schools, and you can find a lot of schools according to your budget. And when I said that the traffic is bad, is like probably for people who are coming from
Amsterdam.
yes, it's from Europe, or like I compare with Moscow, which like you have all these public transportation, you can get anywhere anytime. But probably if you go from Manila, if you like live in Manila or if you live in New Delhi or somewhere, you go to Jakarta, it's a heaven.
Yeah. Manila. I was in Manila in September. You want to make 30 kilometers, you need 2 hours, 2 hours in advance, or it's yeah.
Also coming of the like Gojek, Grab, and before it was Uber. and all these services make life so easy. Like sometimes I don't need to go anywhere. Everything is delivered. Everything is done. It's so convenient when you have all. When you integrate to this big city life system, then it's just it's you are in such a comfort. Then when you leave, you come even to Bali sometimes. Like it's you're just I want to go back to Jakarta, because there you already created your comfort zone, and
Yeah.
it's so easy everything, and you just enjoy the life.
Yeah, and like you said, it's very connected.
Yes.
I mean, doesn't matter where you choose your business, Jakarta or Bali, where you want, or other places we can talk, but you have flights all the time. You can easily
A lot.
move between both places.
Yes.
Even if you have a business here, you can go in the morning in Jakarta and come back to Bali in the evening, or vice versa.
Mm.
So, in terms of management, it's quite easy. Jakarta, what is good also is the workforce. I think it's when you're trying to hire people, you have much more possibility also as a business owner to
Yes.
find people. The education is good there compared to sometimes the rest of Indonesia, and you can find the right people after for developing your business. So
Just more people and more choice. So
yeah,
you can, of course, you will spend more time interviewing,
yeah.
but there is a bigger chance that you will find a professional who you're looking for.
So for people looking to make business, you have a lot of possibilities. But you travel a lot also around Indonesia.
Yep.
How do you see the rest of the country? For example, you're in the mining, so there is I think opportunities. What do you see? How do you see Indonesia developing in the next few years?
So, mining is one of the main economical pillars of the Indonesian economy in general. And I witness the boom of the Indonesian mining, especially in nickel. So we are in the nickel business. We're mining the nickel ore, and we sell to the local Indonesian smelters to produce to the
So what
NPI.
is smelters? Because you
Smelter
said
is
for
is,
people
is
who don't know mining, we don't want to lose them.
yeah. So smelter is a place where you take the ore
Yeah.
and you kind of like go through
Smelt
different, you
the
smelt it and
yeah.
you get the metal.
Okay.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
metal later can be refined to nickel and then cobalt separated. It can go for the usually all the like if spoon or something,
Okay.
it's like nickel inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
we
it comes from the smelter.
and it comes from the side.
Yeah.
And generally it
So in
comes
terms
from
of logistic, first you have the mining where people
yeah.
you get the raw
Ore,
material,
yes,
you bring to what we call a smelter,
smelter,
you smelt, and after you get your nickel and go to
yes.
the manufacturer to produce the spoon or whatever.
Yeah, so when you smelt the nickel ore, you get different type of products. It depends how you want to adjust your factory. You can get NPI ferronickel, which goes for these spoons and other metals and other things. But you can also produce like high nickel made, or even go to hydrometallurgy when you produce MHP and other things, which already goes to batteries, which is actually very, very booming now. And you see, like Jakarta is getting full of the electric cars. I personally also drive an electric
Really?
car. Yes,
It's good to
The-
know for people also wants
yeah,
to
and
move.
the charging stations are like almost everywhere. So Indonesia has a task to to cut the carbon emission as much as
Yes,
possible
they want to
to
make
the
a smart city, eh? That's
and
what I
also
heard, yeah.
implementing smart cities. Well, the another topic which we could speak a lot is a new capital, which
Yeah.
is ongoing in Kalimantan, and there are like many reasons why it should be moved there or it shouldn't. Like other people are arguing, but whatever the current government is doing, I see only positive things. Like back in time in 2016-15 when I joined the mining sector, Jokowi, the current president, just he was just just starting, and there was a ban of export of nickel ore,
Yeah.
and from 2020 it's like like you cannot export.
was banned, yeah.
It was banned. So you need whatever you mine in Indonesia, you need to sell inside of Indonesia, and only the refined already the next stage product you can export. So this is one of the ways Indonesia protect itself, yeah, and make the room for the foreign investment to come and build and create more industries in Indonesia. And the nickel industry is one of the examples. So the nickel industry went huge, especially with Chinese investment and with the Chinese
Yes, what
technologies.
was the question? Who are the people who invest in Indonesia at the moment on this market? It's mostly China.
Biggest for nickel, the biggest investors are China, because the technology and the construction coming from there. Of course, you can hire European companies, but economically, it's like Porsche and like I don't know Toyota. Yeah, you choose which one you want to have, right? And the cost is different, and but
No, but I mean, it's all around the world like that. We have
Yeah.
we have an island, French island, named New Caledonia.
Yes.
New Caledonia is close to, for people who don't know, from New Zealand.
Yes.
And there is a lot of nickel there.
Yes.
And China has tried to, because they want to be independent. I mean, there was referendum at the end. It would not be independent because the referendum keep it France. But China tried to push also for independent because they wanted to have the contract and get the place. So all around the world, China is really pushing in this mining and special nickel industry because they need for the development of their own country.
Yes.
For the production to re-export the product behind that they are
Yes.
manufacturing. Yeah.
Because before that, all the ore which was mined was shipped to China, and now Indonesia said no, you cannot. It's banned. So Chinese investors came because they have already ongoing big factories there, right? And they need this, and they invest and build the like downstream already and some upstream in Indonesia, so they can actually supply to themselves. So it's actually very, very big business, and it's ongoing and more, and it's developing actually very fast. New technologies are coming. Like, for example, for our company, we also have an R&D team, which we develop new technologies, and we are looking forward on building our own smelter in the near future, and we're going to supply to ourselves and later sell
So I
something.
think this is very interesting also for people who are listening and maybe are interested to move to Indonesia or already in Indonesia and are probably looking for business opportunities or to relocate here. Indonesia is one of the biggest country in the world with a lot of resources like China, like US
Yes.
that have their own resources, but who are looking also for resources outside. And Indonesia, like you said, has some ban or also some restrictions sometimes. But if you develop business in Indonesia, around also these resources, electrical vehicle, we are talking about smart cities, there's a lot of possibilities behind. And people who are looking for business ideas and how to probably take a step in the new world or the new technology, or they can use Indonesia also as a place to develop that because this country has the resources to do that. So how to develop from the basic, from the raw material, the nickel, to a business idea behind, which is even more valuable and to make money behind it.
For me, I think for the people who are considering any business in Indonesia, they need to understand in general what is this country. So what are the opportunities? So this country is very rich with mineral resources first, and this country is has a very big consuming market. So it's like what 300 like more than 300 million people living here.
To 270 the population plus the expat plus the Malaysian coming all the time. Let's say it
Around
it will-
300.
Yeah, it will reach 300 or
Fourth country
And
in the
the one
world.
that are not counted yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Because when I travel, I see in the remote areas there are like
Yeah.
villages and people. Some people there even couldn't speak
Yeah,
Bahasa.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's why it's interesting also to know, because with the mining, you, as what I was asking, you travel, I think, around Kalimantan, Sulawesi, probably Maluku, Papua, and all these
Yeah,
things. And it's very interesting to see east of Indonesia how also
so
how it's
different.
developing, how it's changing, also how the mentality can be different, and how it can be business opportunity also of people. So mining is one of the things
Yeah,
we are going back, but why I'm thinking about that is because in terms of tourism also that there is opportunities in terms of mining, in terms of your product. If you have a, I don't know, your manufacturing product in Indonesia, east of Indonesia is also consumer. I mean, you have big cities there, Makassar, Manado,
Surabaya,
Jayapura,
Bandung.
Surabaya. So all these places are also things to consider sometimes.
Yes, definitely. The main thing probably also the if somebody wants to come to Indonesia, they need to have a proper study, and they need somebody who can explain them properly about this country and guide them properly to where and what kind of business sectors they can go. And it's actually what I have witnessed in these years. Whatever kind of product was launched in Jakarta, for example, there were like bubble tea comes, right? And it was just a like huge boom. People were queuing, and like I was like, okay. And then and some like an ice cream in bread. I was like, who will eat it? It's queues of people, and the market is actually quite hungry for something new.
Yeah,
Especially Indonesia is a very young country.
yeah,
There are so many young people, and they're like going through the social media. They want something new,
yeah.
and when you bring some good idea, like
They're willing to try.
yeah, they're willing to
Yeah.
try, and with a proper approach and with a proper establishment of the business and help of the professionals, it's most likely a successful case.
This is important what you say. It's a young country. When you go to, I haven't been into Russia or since 2015, so I cannot say. But France, you, you see more gray hair,
Yeah,
or like me, people who losing their hair,
gray hair,
yeah, than in Indonesia. Indonesia is young.
young.
I mean, sometimes you are even wondering where are elder, you know, because you go to Jakarta, or you go to restaurants, or staff. Barely rarely less than 50 more than 50 years old.
Yeah.
So this market is really looking into social media. So if you want to develop, social media is very important here, like we said before. And like you said, they want to try. They look at a product. We are in Europe, or maybe in US, we look at a product, we are a bit, okay, what is this product? It's a bit weird, or maybe it's here, no. Okay, let's try.
Yeah,
Let's try.
here open,
And they're open.
very
So
open.
if you have business ideas, it's a very good place, I think, to try. And also, like you said, you have 280, 300 million people of consumer.
Yeah.
So whatever it's e-commerce, whatever it's bigger industry, mining or electrical vehicles, whatever tourism,
Yes.
whatever restaurant or what or marketing. Like marketing, if today you have a good market, you're good in marketing, or you're good in marketing agency, just open marketing agency in Indonesia. You have
Yes.
300 million people
Yes.
to look at it, you know. And by the way, I was looking at a lot of agency also for ourselves, and there's not so many competition, yeah, in Indonesia. So I think it's one of the things to, if you're good in marketing, do it, because and don't necessarily also, I think, okay, it's important, like I said at the beginning, when you're a foreigner, the first things you want to try is the market, you know, is a Russian market. If you're Russian, you're French, you want to target your market because you know how they think. But Indonesian market is huge.
Yes.
You know, if you can get 1% of 280 million, it will be
Success.
a success, and more than if you get 50% of the French market. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. In general, also one of the advices from my experience is if somebody wants to come to Indonesia, really after you study well, bring some solutions. Yeah, bring solutions to the things which needs to be solved in Indonesia. For example, it's a island like island country, right? Like there are 17,000 countries, 17,000 islands, and maybe more. I don't think if anybody calculated it properly, but we are having a logistic problem, for
It
example.
depends high tide or low tide, yeah. For
Not
the
only,
island,
it's just like
for the islands, yeah.
uh,
We say 14,000
yeah.
at high tide and
Yeah, that,
17,000 when it's low tide.
so for example, one of our project is in Maluku
Yeah.
Utara, like, and to reach there, I need to fly 6 hours. I need to take a boat 13 hours, and then I need to take a 3 hour speedboat.
Okay.
So when you ride there, you are already and you understand actually that it's quite far, and if there could be some solutions for the faster,
Exactly.
because the key of the economical growth is infrastructure, roads, connections, and so on. One of the examples is the boom of the Chinese business, Chinese economies when they started like building the roads like crazy and the connections, and everything became very well connected, and that's one of the
Exactly,
indicators.
yeah.
That's why the Indonesian government currently is really pushing for the railway connections
Yeah.
in Java.
They
So
did one between Bandung and
Jakarta,
Jakarta, so now you have a high-speed train.
350
Yeah.
kilometers per hour,
Yeah.
you go like to
Yeah.
from Jakarta to Bandung 40 minutes, so like you can technically now live in Bandung and work in Jakarta.
Exactly, yeah. Or like in Europe, you're living in Paris and you're working in Paris and you live in 3 hours from
Yeah.
train or 2 hours, even 1 hour from train.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's why
It's
Jakarta
becoming more
changed,
convenient.
and they're trying also to do with Surabaya. I mean, to expanding infrastructure, like you said, is one of the challenge.
Yes.
But it's also one of your business opportunity. If you have a business in Europe, I don't know, you have an infrastructure and you have a solution, it's a market to look at it.
Any investor interested in Indonesia, I think, should come here, live some time, get some help from the professionals to study the
Well,
market.
you can come to us.
Study the market, find what are the problems that you can solve here, and do it.
This is the core of the business.
Yeah.
When you want to make a business, you have to solve a solution.
Yes.
I was reading a quote or seeing a quote last time is, if you want to have a business idea, take a piece of paper, write everything that you piss you off or that you don't like, and go in the street, check at that, go back home, take your list and try to find a solution for that.
Yes.
And a business is supposed to here to solve a solution. Our business is to help people to find a solution as well. How I invest here, where is the right place to invest, how I face the administration and the legality, so each business is supposed to reply to a solution, like you said. And Indonesia has a lot of problem to solve, and maybe your next business idea is a solution for a problem. So problem, I think people who are entrepreneur or people who succeed is because they always identify the problem. And if you want to succeed in business, identify the problem, but find a solution, like you said. And Indonesia has a lot of problem to solve.
Yes.
But it's a beautiful country that is developing. We didn't even talk about blockchain, but blockchain also which is one of the future of the development. Indonesia has a lot, especially in Jakarta, of companies developing on that. And you will live in the beautiful countries.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Thank you so much in any case for today.
My
It has been a
pleasure.
pleasure to talk.
Likewise.
See you for the next episode, and I hope you enjoy. Just put your comments, and if you have questions, just reach out to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.